Hi, this is Colleen with Chats with Colleen, and we're so glad that you're here joining us today for our biweekly podcast edition. Thank you again for your time. Thanks for joining us. And if you would like to join us and be on an episode, please reach out to either myself, Colleen, or my executive producer, Sean Spizzato. You can DM us, you can call us. My office line is 407-559-2200. We would love to have you on at your convenience, either in our office in Lake Mary or on Zoom anytime, anywhere in the world. So this is our next episode in this series with Mitzi Driggers. She is a Florida girl, country girl at heart, and we are going to get into more depth in her case, which she alleges there's a lot of land fraud going on and just crazy things that has affected her and her life with a lot of trauma and a lot of doubt. And she's a courageous woman. We have no judgments for her, and we just wish her the best and hope she can find peace and harmony and move on with her life and get the peace and calmness that she deserves. And hopefully she can get reunited with her children. That's the most important thing for me here. So again, thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. Her case is unraveling and is extremely moving. Again, thanks for joining us and enjoy the show.
Because that's how they've tried to catch me up in the past and try to make people think I'm crazy and I'm lying or whatever. But if you ask me, I think she's the sociopath here.
And then how has this instability in your life and terror, it almost seems for you with your family, extended family, and other random people, how has it really affected you with like trusting other people and feeling
Oh,
safe?
I can't trust anyone. My mother even told me that. Last thing she said to me actually was, "Don't trust anyone. Don't ever trust anyone completely." So that's how it's affected me. I can't trust them.
I bet. Yeah. Wow. You can't trust anybody. And then do you have a support system, like people you can
Well,
trust or
you know,
feel
the
trusted
way
with?
I look at that, like, yeah, I do have some people I can trust, but, with certain things, I probably couldn't trust them if I left around them, something, their favorite candy or whatever, let's say, just for instance.
Right.
You can't trust everybody completely, but you can trust people enough to get by. You have to know who you can trust with what. That's what I say to that. Because I'm not going to say I don't trust anybody with anything. That's not true. Because like my people that I have been connected with since this all started, I've been connected with some very, very good people that, I started feeling like there were no good people left in the world, that no one cared anymore, and that I was going to die out there and nobody would ever care. But that's not true, because it's like God puts his angels there for you when you need them the most. He'll have them there at the right time. Every time his timing is divine, and it's immaculate, like his plan. And I know I wouldn't be able to have gotten this far if it wasn't for those people that he put in my path. Not gonna mention any names right now. Maybe they might not want their names mentioned, but I really want to say I thank them so much, and I'm so grateful. Because they really put their neck out on the line to help me. And
Yeah.
I didn't even know how to look at deed online when all this started. And now I'm doing title, or I'm a chain of titles, and I'm looking
Title
at
work, like title
corporation.
agent stuff. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
doing like what a title agent does to get back to the beginning.
and looking up like corporate connections and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just thankful to have a teacher that I can trust too with anything. I can call them and, hey, I'm on the side of the road. Come get me right now. And they'll be there as soon as they can get there. And if I need a place to crash, I can sleep on the couch. They're not only helping me with my case, but they're helping me survive right now. And, it's just God's army.
And how has this situation that's been going on for most of your life, it appears, by, your allegations, you know, for what you've told me. How has it affected you, like, mentally and emotionally?
Well, I think I'm better mentally and emotionally now than before, because before it was like I knew all along that someone was against me and that I was in the middle of a war, basically. But I didn't really know what or who it was. I just knew that something wasn't right and that there was cars following me and things like that. Whenever I go out of town and stuff, that I noticed I seen back in my hometown too, and I was very confused as to why someone would want to follow me, especially as a teenager and things like that. And now that this has happened, and I see why they were following me all along, it's scary to think what they could have done, but at least I know who's sending these people. At least I know why these people are following me. At least I can fight back now, because knowing is half the battle. You cannot fight against something when you don't even know what it is or who it is. It's impossible. And so that really helped me out a lot mentally. Like, I was taking antidepressants and things whenever I was younger, because I used to think that, I didn't want to remember. I didn't want to know what was going on. That's what I was, you know, I don't know, led to believe, but that's what I felt like, because I just didn't want to fight. Didn't want to be involved. I was almost at the point like, just take it, you know? And if they would have just let my brother live, they could have gladly gotten it from me. I would have gave him everything, because my brother was everything to me. And he was my best friend. And a human life means more to me than any amount of money, especially someone I love. That's why
Yeah.
it really affects me mentally now. It's because of grief and hurt. But as far as like mental, like, I couldn't even talk to people without crying. Tears would just come in a normal conversation. They would just come out. Like, I could not talk to you and look you in the face when I was a teenager, because this trauma that's been going on in my life, and I didn't understand why I was having all this trauma. But when I got those two DUIs, one good thing that came out of it, they sent me to therapy, and I met this wonderful lady was my therapist, Mitha. She really helped me differentiate, and realize and determine who was for me and who was not, and why you can and how you can determine something like that. There's safe people and there's not safe people.
Mhm.
It's very simple. Safe people, they'll help you out. They'll tell you, you got something right here on your mouth you need to wipe. Unsafe people, they will laugh at you with their friends and, pretend to be your friend. But really, they're never going to tell you you need to wipe your mouth. And
Right.
it's just that
Mhm.
simple. And yeah, most of my life I was around these unsafe people and didn't even really think anything of it. And now I know, how to identify when someone's trying to, you know, hurt me or take something from me. And before I didn't. And now I've been off the antidepressants for 3 years. I haven't taken any. And I don't cry all the time. I'm just a little, emotional now because of what we're
Yeah.
talking about. But I
Hmm.
mean, these tears would come whenever it was something, that wasn't even close to being sad. Like, what were you having for dinner today, or anything? I just couldn't face anyone and talk to. But with a lot of prayer and a lot of hope and a lot of support from my support system, I've gotten a lot, stronger. That's how I feel. I feel like I am like about as strong as any warrior.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
you mentioned that you said your brother was killed. How do you think he was killed?
I know he was killed because I read the autopsy. He was killed by, he was beaten. Somebody took, and when I seen him, he had no bruising and anything like that on his face or his side of his head. In the autopsy report, it says that there was bruising on both sides all over here. And the only thing I can think, it seems as if somebody did like this, when they torturing these people, that's how they do this to them. When he
Oh.
was out in the yard in his truck, I know he wasn't wearing boxer shorts out in the yard in his truck, because my brother didn't go outside half naked. He had his shoes down. He had his pants on. He had his clothes on when he was outside in his truck. When the attack began, when he was trying to get away, because his girlfriend told me this over the summer, he was trying to get away from somebody out at the gate at the front of the residence. And apparently he didn't get away from, because he ended up with just boxer shorts on in the bathroom, is what she told me. Were to the morgue, only boxer shorts. And she also told me someone put a shirt, a white t-shirt on him at the morgue. And I wasn't allowed to go to the morgue. He was supposed to be going to Fort Myers, District 21. That's where everybody goes from where I'm from, Glades County. But he didn't go there. He went, well, if he went there, he went to Worstoff after that. If he did go there, I don't know if he even went there at all. But I know he went to Melbourne, to Worstoff Research Laboratory, where my Aunt Jackie went. And she was supposed to go to District 10 in Lakeland because she died in Avon Park. And I know the toxicologies were both done by skeletal dynamics. I'm sorry. And I know that Anna Maria Escato was a signing manager on this company. And it says it is a medical equipment company. I didn't know they did toxicologies at medical equipment companies, but I could be wrong about that. I'm not an expert on toxicologies. But I also know that Anna Escato is the signing manager on the company Highlands Ranch Incorporated, which was the company that my grandparents and Jimmy Kleiner put the land in a mortgage and put it as $300 mortgage, or I'm sorry, $300,000 mortgage. When these properties are worth millions, they just did this so they could hide the asset from my mother because she was trying to sue my dad, like I was talking about earlier. And Highlands Ranch Incorporated was not really a real company; it was just a cover up for our property, so that my mom couldn't try to take it. But Anna Scotto is signed a manager, and she signed the easements for $18 million in 2017 when my brother was killed and my other brother was sent to prison for life. That's a pretty big, connection. And Anna Scotto also, I went by a house in Port St. Lucie that I found a jury summons for my grandma whenever I got the paperwork at the house. And the jury summons had my grandmother come into court in St. Louis County. I said, my grandmother doesn't have no property over there. So I go to investigating in this, and I go by the house one day that the address was linked to, and the car outside had a tag that came back as owner Anna Scotto. I don't think that Anna Scotto was inside. So I didn't go knock on the door or anything. But yes, I don't think Anna Scotto was actually in the flesh. I believe that's a fraudulent alias. They've stolen a lot of identities from a lot of people, even my dead relatives and other dead people and people that have gone to prison. And like the Frederick Bowen name, that a trust that they use, connected to 364 Catfish Creek Drive in Lake Placid, Florida. That was a tax deed sale that my grandmother bought because I remember her taking me and my cousin David and my brother. We went up there one day and she was so excited because she bought this place on a tax deed sale for pretty cheap. And I went there recently, and they were running the place on generators and stuff, and they're using it to get a lot of the mail and stuff that they've been doing mail fraud with the properties. And um, yeah, my cousin David, I believe he has control over that. But Dennis, the trustee, has been, working very closely with David. And in some of the emails I've got from his attorney, they even told the attorneys to include David as a co-trustee in the trust. But I don't think they did that. I don't even know if they can do that. But yeah, he's not one to take all the blame for everything over here. And he definitely shouldn't, because David has been the mastermind.
This sounds this sounds like a Lifetime movie.
I know that's right. It really feels like I'm in a movie too. And
I
I
know.
don't really like this movie. I want to change
Not a good,
channels.
it's just like a mystery investigative, like um some of the stuff is unbelievable, and I give you a lot of credit for speaking about it, and I also give you a lot of credit for looking, like investigating it and still, keeping with it. Because most people may give up.
Oh yes, and I couldn't blame him. I felt like giving up a lot of times this year when I having to sleep in the gas station parking lot and rest areas and stuff because I can't stay at my house because I'm too afraid to even go to sleep there. I feel more comfortable at the gas station parking lot. I've never slept in one of those before until this year, previous year, 2025. But hopefully, 2026, I'll be somewhere safer than where I have been. But I could have just left, and went to another place, another state or whatever. But I have unfinished business here, and they're not going to run me out of my home. If I have to leave eventually, maybe I will one day. But for right now, I got things I got to get done for my family that can't get them done anymore because they're not here with us. So I'm gonna finish up what I got to do while I'm here.
Yeah. And you mentioned that your brother is in prison for life. So
Yes,
if he's in prison for life, and when this inheritance gets settled for you all, is he still entitled to any of the money, if any, or
yes,
land that was left to him? He is for his
yes. I
family.
I made sure that I created a trust for my brother and I'm power of attorney for him. And hopefully we can get something kind of I've already had a few appeals done, but now I've found more evidence that may change everything for him. Hopefully, we can maybe reopen his case and get something done about that because he's in prison unjustly. He's never talked about the night he went to prison to anyone. I don't even know if he knows exactly what happened that night. But I believe the truth always comes out, sooner or later. And I've found some documents that link my mother to the people that lured him over there that day. It was Halloween of 2017. And this lady, my mother's friend, I'm not going to say any names, but again, but a family member of hers called several times to get my brother to come over that day. And it was an older lady. My brother was a younger guy, and he really doesn't really, his mentality is not like on a mature level where he would want to hang out with, and an older lady would want to hang out with him. That's why I couldn't understand why he was at the people's house, because that's what everybody kept asking. Why was he at the people's house in the first place? Exactly. That's exactly the point that I'm trying to get to the bottom of, because I really feel like they set him up because he was to inherit this estate. And they wanted to put his portion into the prison trust whenever they were doing the informal accounting. And I didn't agree with that because he wouldn't be able to get any canteen out of this, they said. And if he died, it would go to the state. Okay, that don't sound right. So now that I got his trust, I make sure he has canteen. I talk to him on the phone, and I'm going to do my best to get him out of there. Because, like I told him, even if he did do something, he didn't kill anyone. He don't deserve to be in prison for life. I don't agree with a lot of stuff he does, or a lot of people, but that's not a just sentence. It's not right, what they did to him. And I was told that he was being sexually assaulted at the county, and that's why he said guilty whenever he went to trial. So if they can prove that, because I'm sure it was true, but they probably have witnesses and things like that, then hopefully, that'll help out on his case too.
Wow. So you really have your hands full.
Oh yes, I do. I really do. And it's okay though, as long as I can get everything done, I don't mind having a lot to do. That's what I would say.
And you mentioned that you have two kids, a son and a daughter. When is the
Yes.
last time you've seen them?
It's been over a year now. I've never been away from my kids this long. And when I did see my son, it was like he didn't even want to see me. It's like he ran from me. Whenever I see him jogging, I stopped to see him, and he ran from me. And then that wasn't the last time though. The last time my mom brought him and told him to get out and take a picture of my garage door because my garage door fell at the house. And I guess she's trying to get dirt on me or something. But hey, The garage is still over 30 years old. It had to be serviced. So, anyhow, that doesn't really matter. But when I seen him get out to take this picture, I said, Deshaun, come give me a hug. I miss you. Please come give your mother a hug. And he just looked at me and she said something and he got back in the truck. But he texted me on Facebook later that morning, the next morning, and he said, I'm sorry I wouldn't give you a hug, Mom. And I said, it's okay, baby. Just don't let another day go by without giving your mother a hug. I love you and I miss you. And I didn't get much more than that out. And I didn't bring anything up, that had anything to do with anything about I'll say adult business, because I don't like to put children, he's not a child, but he's autistic and he doesn't need to be involved. But anyhow, he says to me on the chat feed, and I still have it, he says, Nana didn't lie on you. Nana didn't do anything bad. And I'm like, what are you talking about, Deshaun? I didn't say anything about your Nana. It's like in over defense mode for her because he knows that she's doing something bad. He don't understand. He don't understand the whole justice of it because he's autistic.
Mhm. I just feel
And it's
heartbroken
probably,
for you. Mhm.
I'm sorry.
I feel heartbroken for you for your kids' sake.
I know. And it's like he doesn't understand everything. And also, he's so innocent. And I would want him to know what's going on because that'll put him in danger. He's already in danger, but he'd even be in more danger if they understood and knew, anything at all. And that's probably what kept me safe a long time because if I did know what was going on, I didn't act like it. And, I guess it was a survival mode or something that I was in because I didn't really understand how crucial it was for me not to know what was going on. But I still, did that. That's maybe God, I don't know, just told me to stay out of it.
So are you in fear for your kids' lives too?
Oh, yes, I am very worried about my children because if my mom will have my brother killed, and I know that's what she did. I tried to talk myself out of it all year, but there's no other possibility. Then what will she do to my children? Especially if she's mad with me and she's blaming me for everything and like it's my fault. Because, people do bad things to you and they'll be mad at you like you did something wrong. And that's where we're at right now with this. And she's going to be blaming me. And I just feel like she'll take it out on me and by hurting my children or maybe worse. That's how I feel.
And then how can the public and people what can they do to help you? And what do you want people to take from this?
Well, the thing I want people to take from this is don't turn your head on corruption. Don't turn your head when you see something bad happening. You need to say something. You need to speak up because I used to be one of those people too, and I just don't want to be involved. I'll just keep going. That's not my business and things like that. But when you turn your head on something, so crucial that's hurting someone so bad, maybe even killing someone. It won't be long till that's going to be you one day, that's dying and nobody's saying nothing to help you. That's just a message from God that I have been learning, really in a major way now because, there's been times when I've turned my head, said that was none of my business. But, I feel bad now because, I should have never did that because, yeah, it could always be you. You never know when it's going to be you.
Very
And
true.
what I could ask of people is just, speak up. If you want to help, you don't have to speak up for me, but if you do want to help, that's all you got to do. If you know something, say it. If you know anything about a murder or property or anything in my case, in my situation, should I say, speak up. Don't call law enforcement in your local area, though. That's not really going to help because they'll be targeting you next. Talk to the feds, get a hold of me or my attorney or my legal advisor, whatever, get a hold of somebody that will pass a message to someone that can do something about it because, there's been some corruption in this counties. And, if it's not corruption, then it's just cops that are saying, well, we're not getting involved in that. Let's just not take that call. That's bad enough. That's just as bad as upholding it. That is upholding it. So, they might not in Highlands County, they might not be, stalking me and harassing me like they are in Fillets and Okeechobee, but they're not really doing anything about it and they're watching it happen. So that's just as bad, you know but I don't really think that Highlands County is doing that because they always were good with my family. My grandfather really paved the way up there for me and my family. The things that he's done in that community it's outstanding. I have to tell you about it one day. That's probably a whole nother podcast, but you know, he helped a lot of people and he had a very good reputation in that county. And like I said, they may not be doing as they didn't kill my brother, obviously. But that was Blaze County Police Department. Uh, and the officer that did this lived in Okeechobee, or still does. And Okeechobee Police Department, I think that's why they're getting involved because that officer that works for them lives there in Okeechobee. So obviously he has ties. And so the sheriffs are very connected in those two counties also. I was at David, that's the sheriff of Blaze County. I was at his campaign party because my mom hosts it every year at her bar, and he introduced me to the sheriff in Okeechobee County, Noel Stevens, and yeah, I shook his hand, and yeah, that's how I know they're friends because they introduced me to him, and he told me it was his friend. That's how I know. So, yeah, that's probably why they're helping each other out, I suppose, in those two counties. But they've been hunting me like an animal. They got like a hit out on my head and stuff. Last night was pretty dangerous. I about didn't get away, but I did. I got to Osceola County before they made contact with me. When I pulled up to some friends of mine, I just was on my way back to Martin after I went and got my phone and stuff. I told you I had to get my iPhone from the post office box over there, and I was on my way back yesterday evening. It wasn't like it was about 7 o'clock, and I pulled up, and this guy pulls up to my vehicle in another truck, and he says, "The cops are on their way," pretty loudly, and so I just pulled off, and yeah, I wasn't going to stop, so I got out to the next county because I know, if they were chasing me at those speeds and pulled up and harassing me for no reason, I didn't do anything wrong. What will they do when they make contact? What exactly is it that they want to do? That's what I would like to ask them.
You were all the way up in Osceola County?
No, I was in Highlands County, and then I
Okay.
was on my way back to Martin. I was passing through Okeechobee County.
Oh,
So the only reason I went to Osceola is because they came after me
it's
like
all
a mad
connected. Yes.
gang, and I knew not to get stopped in Okeechobee County, or else they would probably kill me. And so I made it to Yeehaw Junction, and that's where I stopped at the gas station and got some diesel in at the pump. I seen them all pull up, you know, and I got on the phone with Jim, and we were talking, and I just was like, "What is it they want to do to me?" And when I'm talking to him, and I'm like, "Well, they're going to prison," they start pulling off one by one. It's like they want to avoid accountability, but it's too late for that. And they think they can hurt me or silence me or kill me or whatever, and they won't have to be accountable for what they've done. But that's not true. They're still going to be held accountable because if I do die today, it doesn't matter. I've given all the evidence to the feds and to Jim and to other people too. Some people that can actually help me and do something about it this time. Because before I would, I had a girl helping me and I was really worried about her safety. I had to separate myself from her and other people too. All my life, it's like every friend I ever have, it never, it never works out very long because my family, they either, turn them against me or I don't know. Um, or some of them even come up dead. Like, it's really crazy. It's like I said, it's a movie. It's a movie. It's like a movie. It's a bad dream I need to be waking up from, Colleen.
Mhm. I know. It sounds exhausting, scary.
It it
Hmm.
is. It really is. And you try to be brave and you try to be brave, but how brave can you be for how long? Everybody's got a point where it's like, I cannot take it anymore. But I've reached that point a couple times this year. But I always have, an extra gear kick in or something like, because I know what I'm fighting for is not just myself or my family. It's for the entire human race, really. Because this country cannot keep going on this level for much longer. Economically, socially, environmentally, none of this is a lasting situation for this country. Something has to change. We have to change something to make things work for our children and our children's children. Because at this rate, there's going to be a few people in power, and there's going to be a whole lot of people that are suppressed, oppressed, and sounds to me like a tyrant and uh, not and a fair economy, and not this judicial system, that we've built is failing. We got to change something. There has to be an answer. You know, I'm not a scholar on the economy or anything, but there are some people out there that are and that know what to do about this. And I know that something is going to change soon. I just know this, that God really talks to me a lot. And I have a strong feeling that there's going to be a big change in this country, and that the police are not going to be able to form this gang against the civilians and hurt people like this anymore. They're going to be taken down a few notches, I believe. I believe that's what's going to have to happen. They have too much power. For them to have so much power against the people is dangerous, and it's unnecessary, and it's not right. So,
Yes. And it's bad things have been happening from organizations that have power, over other people. People have been getting killed, it seems, innocently.
yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, what goes up must come down. That's what I do now.
It's true. Yes. Yeah. It has to get better for you and settle. And that's what I pray for you can find some stability in your life because um, you have a lot of knowledge to share with people and a lot of good in you, and a lot of good things that you want to do and you want to share.
Yeah, I really would like to start like a support group for like gang stalking. I didn't know anything about this gang stalking. I just learned that I was going through it. So I started learning about it because I didn't never hear about it before. But yes, it's very traumatizing. And really, the only people that have the capability to do this to people is the cops. So if anybody's going through that, just know it's not just you. And also, this is an organization that's much more powerful than you, and you really are helpless. And do whatever you got to do to be putting yourself in a safe position as much as possible. I mean, I know that you're never safe whenever you're being gang stalked by the cops, but you know, just get as safe as you think is possible, because these people are not playing with you. Like, they're going to hurt you. That's what they're trying to do. And when they start mentally abusing you by the things they do, the tactics they use, the stopping your Wi-Fi and things like that, so that you can't call for help. And it'll start out psychologically and electronically, like through the Wi-Fi and things like that. And they hack your devices and all. But then it gets worse. It gets more aggressive. They send people to hurt you and things like that. So what I'm gonna say is just there's somebody out there that cares and that will help you, and you're not alone. But the people that you've been around, you need to get away from them. That's for sure. Yes, because I really think the support group is important for people going through this, because a lot of people are going through this. I'm learning, but like I said, the only possible way that they can go through this is if the police are either doing it or helping someone do it. That's majorly disturbing for me. That this is what we as taxpayers are paying for: people getting hurt, people getting stopped. How much money do you think it takes an army to chase a girl around town for nothing? I'm innocent. And they've had hundreds of vehicles following me, using diesel, using fuel at all hours. I'm not talking about 3 hours a day. I'm talking about 24/7 for the last year, over a year now. So, how much money can that, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money that we're throwing away on hurting innocent people. And it's not right. And I don't want to condone that. And I shouldn't be forced to have to pay for it either. Something's got to be done about these thugs that call themselves police in this country. And I was probably too scared to say that 10 years ago. But I knew it then. And I know it even more now. But there's going to be a change when it comes to these cops. I don't care. I'm going to put all my funds into it whenever I'm able to. Oh, I will be funding this research, this educational venture, whatever we want to call it. But we're going to make something work for this country that people can be feeling safe in their homes again, because they don't feel safe right now. People don't feel safe. People feel like they are threatened, and they feel like they cannot speak about things. That's not safe. And then people are accepting it, and that's not going to work. I'm not going to accept it. So, and I think some other people feel like that also. I'm not the only one that feels this way.
Oh, this is a lot of valuable information, and we'll set up another one when you want to talk about your grandfather and what he did for the community and all of his legacy and stuff, because you taught me a lot of stuff I didn't know about Florida and the county. It was the largest county, Glades County, which I didn't know that. So, yeah.
Anytime, Colleen. Anytime. We
I
can do it
appreciate
anytime.
you. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you more.
Thank you so much for listening and joining us on our podcast episode that's posted bi-weekly. Again, we would love if you would like and share and subscribe to our podcast. It means the world to us, and it helps our guests so much. Remember, if you would like to join us, you can do so at any time. We record in person or on Zoom anywhere in the world. Also, our podcast is produced by Sean Spazzato, and it's hosted by me, Miss Colleen Pacheco. Please like and share our Facebook pages, which is Colleen Pacheco and Secured Insurance Group. Our Instagram is Colleen Insurance Lady 22, and our cover art is edited by Norma Pacheco. We appreciate you so much, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us.